They clapped like she cured cancer. Flashbulbs, flowers, that fake corporate champagne fizzing in plastic flutes. My sister Amanda stood at the podium in her crisp navy dress whites, polished to perfection, her new rank glinting under the lights like a crown. I sat in the back row, alone. No one looked at me, except him, the base commander. He glanced once, did a double take, then leaned toward me slowly, like he was watching a ghost walk in. "Wait, you're her? You're Rachel Morgan?" The room stopped. Even my father, my cold, silver-haired father who hadn't spoken my name in over a year, turned to me like someone dropped a bomb in the middle of his perfect little lie. "My name is Rachel Morgan, and from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Have you ever been buried alive by your own family while they smiled like it was a funeral for someone else? Last year, they told everyone I failed, that I dropped out of my military contract, that I couldn't handle it, that I broke down." The rumors were carefully phrased, almost kind, but lethal. Amanda whispered them first, like poison through the grapevine. Then my mother nodded along. Then my father said, "Well, she's not really one of us anymore." No one asked me why I left. No one asked what happened at the base in Virginia, why I was medically discharged, why I stopped sleeping, why I came home looking like a shadow that barely had a name anymore, because that would have forced them to care. So I stayed silent. I let them hold their ceremonies and cut their cakes and toast to the real success of the family. Amanda, the good daughter. Amanda, the officer. Amanda, the star. Until that night, at her promotion ceremony, when the base commander looked at me and whispered my name like it still meant something. "You're the one from the red flag simulation," he said slowly. I blinked. "Yes, sir." His face changed, like a puzzle snapping into place. "They said you saved 3 lives, that you stayed behind when the system failed." I stood up quietly, not for applause, not for attention, but because I was done hiding. Amanda looked like she'd seen a ghost, because for the first time in months, the truth had walked back into the room wearing my name. I didn't stay for cake. I walked out before Amanda could reach me, before my parents could pull me into some quiet corner and feed me another well-rehearsed excuse for why they buried me alive while the cameras flashed for her. But the commander followed me into the parking lot. "Rachel," he said. "Not ma'am, not miss. Just Rachel. Like a soldier to another soldier. You saved 3 lives during a system blackout," he said. "I read the report before it got scrubbed. I always wondered why they buried it, why you vanished." I turned to him, slow, because the man I reported outranked me, and he was friends with the colonel's son. I got reassigned, then medically discharged. He didn't blink, didn't gasp. He just exhaled like someone who finally found the missing file in the wrong drawer. "I'm sorry," he said. "That should have never happened." I nodded once. It did. Then I left. But that conversation? It cracked the silence wide open. Because the next day, I got an email from the commander's office. Subject line: "Request for statement. Reopening internal review." Turns out, after seeing me, he pulled the logs. My incident file had been sealed under an administrative code used for disciplinary dropout cases. But I wasn't a dropout. I was covered up. And now, someone with actual power saw that. I submitted my statement within hours. Attached the full incident report I'd printed and buried in my glove box for a year. Every timeline, every radio transcript, every recorded testimony that went missing. Amanda called me 2 days later. "You need to stop," she snapped. "This doesn't help anyone. You're dredging up things that don't need to be." "Did you know what happened to me?" I asked. Silence. "Did you know they sealed it with your signature on the last page?" More silence. Then, "I didn't think they'd use it like that." "They used you, Amanda. You handed them the bullet and turned your back when they pulled the trigger." Click. She hung up. I wasn't surprised. But I was wide awake now. Because for the first time in a year, the system that erased me had to look me in the eye. And Amanda? She was about to learn what it feels like to watch someone rise while you're still clinging to a throne made of lies. By the end of the week, the review was official. My file was reopened. The disciplinary dropout code was revoked. replaced with a phrase I hadn't seen since the night I left Virginia. Exceptional conduct under duress. A citation that had been intentionally omitted. I read it twice. 3 times. The words blurred. Not from disbelief, from rage. Because that single line could have changed everything. Instead, I came home to a family that greeted me like a failure. A sister who refused to look me in the eye. A father who said, "Well, Rachel's just more delicate." Like that explained the silence. Like that made betrayal something polite. Until now. Now I had something heavier than proof. I had validation. And I planned to put it exactly where it would hurt the most. Amanda's face appeared on the Naval PR site the following Monday. Bright smile, glowing headline, a quote about excellence in crisis response. I submitted a formal counterbrief. Attached the updated internal review. I didn't need to accuse her of anything. I just let the facts sit there. Quiet. Undeniable. Within 48 hours, her quote was pulled from the article. 2 days later, I received a call from a military PR coordinator. "Miss Morgan, would you be willing to speak at the Academy's leadership seminar this fall? We think your story might offer clarity." I said yes. Amanda's silence was deafening. But my parents? They broke first. My mother came by unannounced, all tight smiles and the smell of lavender guilt. "We didn't know how to help you, Rachel," she said. "You shut down." "I wasn't shut down," I said. "I was locked out. You helped them bury me, and when they shut the lid, you nodded." Tears welled up, but I didn't flinch. I'd learned that guilt isn't the same as regret. "You always made things difficult," she said, almost whispering. "Even as a kid." I nodded. "And Amanda always made it easy. That's why you chose her." She didn't deny it. She just left the cookies on the counter and walked out like it was a mercy. That night, I started drafting my Academy speech. Not as a survivor. Not as a victim. As someone who was erased and returned with the pen in her own hand. I wasn't done. Amanda still had her rank. But not for long. Because the next thing I submitted was a formal ethics complaint. Signed. Dated. And carved with one line she'd never outrun. "You signed the lie that almost ruined me." The ethics board moved faster than I expected. Within 2 weeks of filing, they requested a full investigation into Amanda's role in the incident that led to my discharge. I knew what they'd find. I'd lived it. She hadn't orchestrated the cover-up, no. But she signed her name to a report she never read. She vouched for a commanding officer she knew had a history of pushing women out quietly. And when I got dragged off that base like a loose thread, she didn't say a word. Now her silence had a paper trail. And the military doesn't like bad press, especially from one of their rising stars being publicly questioned. I didn't hear from Amanda, but her friends did. One by one, they reached out. Coworkers, colleagues, even her mentor, the same one who once told me your sister is the blueprint. They were polite, careful, coded. "Are you sure you want to escalate this? Isn't there a way to resolve this privately? Don't you think it's better to heal quietly?" No. Quiet is what let them erase me the first time. This time, I wanted echoes. The Academy published their fall seminar list. My name was listed next to a panel called "Surviving the Silence, What the System Doesn't Want You to Say." It trended on Twitter for 36 hours. A military journalist picked it up next. Then a veterans blog. Then a podcast. By the end of the month, my inbox was full. And Amanda? She was under review. Suspended from public-facing roles. Promotion frozen. My father finally called. "You've made your point," he said. Cold. Controlled. "No," I replied. The truth made the point. I just stopped burying it. He didn't argue. He hung up. I visited Virginia that weekend. Stood in front of the base gate where they walked me off the property that night. No salute, no goodbye, just a locked record and a hollow career. But this time, the gate opened. The same commander met me at the entrance. Shook my hand. Looked me in the eye. "They'll remember you now," he said. I looked past him at the rows of buildings, brick, steel, and silence. "No," I said. "They'll remember what they did. Then I turned and walked away. Some redemption stories end with forgiveness. Mine was just beginning to bloom into reckoning. Amanda finally broke her silence. Not with a phone call, not face-to-face, but with a carefully crafted LinkedIn post. Leadership is about navigating storms. Sometimes, you're caught in winds you didn't create, but you steer anyway. Beneath it, a filtered photo of her in uniform, crisp, perfect, distant. Comments flooded in. "You're so strong. Proud of you, ma'am. Don't let haters get to you." Haters. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. Because 3 days later, someone leaked the original discharge summary, the one she co-signed. The internet did the rest. Threads popped up. Is this the same Amanda Morgan who signed off on a whistleblower report? Didn't her sister speak at the academy last week? Why isn't the Navy addressing this? She turned off comments, deleted the post. The cracks were no longer private. Then came the Navy's internal memo, quietly issued, but someone forwarded me a screenshot. Amanda had been officially reprimanded for failure to appropriately review and verify documentation resulting in the mishandling of a service member's medical discharge. Her next promotion? Gone. She wouldn't lose her rank. They wouldn't gut her in public. But the ceiling above her had just turned to stone. And my parents? They started pretending nothing had ever happened. Suddenly, I was getting birthday texts again. Invitations. My mom mailed me a "proud of you" card with a Starbucks gift card inside, like that could scrub the silence off her conscience. But guilt disguised as kindness doesn't smell like healing. It smells like damage control. So I ignored them. I kept going. Because the thing no one tells you about reclaiming your name is that it doesn't feel like a parade. It feels like paperwork, like late nights and reliving trauma on official documents, like watching people flinch as they realize they chose comfort over you. And it feels like power, real power, the kind that grows in the ash of what they try to burn down. My speech at the academy hit 2.3 million views online. CNN requested an interview. I declined. Because this wasn't a headline. This was a homecoming. Not to a place. To myself. Amanda built her name on silence. I was tearing that legacy apart, one documented truth at a time. The invitation came in a crisp Navy envelope, embossed with gold. Office of the Secretary of the Navy requests your presence. A private ceremony. Commendation for integrity, resilience, and service. My name, Rachel Morgan, printed in perfect serif, no asterisk, no apology. I stared at it for a long time. This was the kind of event Amanda used to get. The kind of thing my father would wear his best suit for, chest out, pretending his last name meant something noble. I RSVP'd. Yes. But I didn't go alone. I brought someone with me. Lieutenant Sarah Rhodes, one of the 3 soldiers whose lives I'd helped save during that blackout. The same woman whose voice I'd heard crackle through broken comms as the base systems went dark. The one they never listed in any of the reports. She hugged me like we were back in that room again. Alive. Scarred. Breathing. "You shouldn't have had to fight this hard," she said. I smiled. But I did. And now we're here. When I walked into that chamber, people stood. Not out of obligation, but recognition. The secretary read my commendation slowly, like each word was a correction written over a lie. And when he handed me the plaque, real wood, heavy, engraved, he whispered, "They told me you were difficult. I read your file. You weren't difficult. You were right." Applause echoed like thunder. But all I could see was Amanda, years ago, standing on a similar stage, taking credit for playing quiet while I bled beneath the silence. This wasn't about erasing her. It was about reclaiming me. After the ceremony, a retired general approached. Kind eyes, slow voice. "I remember your case," he said. "They said it was too messy to fix." I met his gaze. Then I made them regret leaving the mess. That night, I got a text from my father. "We saw the ceremony. Congratulations. I hope you can find it in your heart to let things go." I stared at that screen for 10 full seconds. Then I replied, "You all let me go first. I just learned to stay gone." He didn't respond, and I didn't need him to, because for once, I was no longer looking back. I had my name. I had the truth. And I had the silence finally on my side. 2 weeks after the ceremony, Amanda called. Not to scream. Not to defend. To confess. Her voice shook like a match burning too close to her fingers. I shouldn't have signed it, she said. I knew what it was. I knew what they were doing. I didn't interrupt. I wanted her to say it all. I thought if I didn't make waves, I'd be promoted faster. They told me you'd be fine. That you were unstable, and it'd be better this way. I laughed, sharp, bitter. Better for who? She was crying now. I didn't think they'd erase you. I thought it would blow over. That's the difference between us, I said. You thought silence was survival. I learned it was surrender. She begged me not to go public with the ethics complaints outcome. Said she was being reassigned. Lower profile base. No advancement for 2 years. No prestige. No podiums. Just quiet, forgotten work. I told her that sounded familiar. Then I hung up. And that should have been enough. But it wasn't. Because there was one more thing they still hadn't touched. The man who started it all. Captain Richard Halloway. The one I reported. The one who laughed in my face after the simulation when I challenged his call. The one who said I panicked under pressure while I stayed behind to extract 3 soldiers from a dead zone. He'd been promoted. Twice. Now stationed in California. Clean record. Decorated. Until I filed a formal misconduct complaint, newly backed by the ethics board findings and my reinstated commendation. And I wasn't the only one. Lieutenant Rhodes filed her statement too. Then the 3rd soldier, Eric Mendez. He'd stayed silent out of fear. Until now. We coordinated. 3 voices. 1 truth. And then the news broke. Captain Richard Halloway under investigation for misconduct related to falsified reports and suppression of whistleblower testimonies. It made stars and stripes. It hit military Twitter like a grenade. Halloway was suspended. Pending inquiry. No more speeches. No more clean legacy. Amanda texted me again. You really meant it. All of it. I replied with 3 words. Now do you? She never answered. But it didn't matter. Because sometimes justice doesn't come in flames. It comes in cracks. Quiet, steady fractures in the machine they used to protect themselves. And now the cracks were spreading. The final email came on a Sunday morning. No fanfare. No subject line in bold. Just a line in the body. Your record has been fully expunged and reclassified as honorable medical discharge with distinction. We apologize for the administrative error. Error. That word made me laugh out loud in my kitchen. Like a year of gaslighting, silence, betrayal, and public erasure was just a clerical typo. Like they hadn't nearly destroyed me. Like Amanda hadn't stood on my grave and smiled for the cameras. But still, it was done. My name was restored. And with it everything they tried to deny me. The Academy offered me a permanent seat on the leadership ethics panel. I accepted. I published an essay called The Sound of Being Buried Alive in Military Voices Quarterly. It went viral, not because it was scandalous, but because it was true. Halloway? Under full investigation. Multiple prior complaints suddenly resurfaced. Turns out, when one woman speaks, others find their voice. Amanda resigned her commission 3 months later. Cited mental health and personal reevaluation. She moved back home. Started substitute teaching. I heard from my mother that she doesn't wear the uniform anymore. Not even for photos. And my father? He showed up at my door one last time. Suit. Tie. Hands folded like an apology he didn't know how to unwrap. You were always the strong one, he said. We just couldn't see it. I looked him straight in the eye. You saw it, I said. You just didn't like what it said about you. He nodded, slowly, like a man finally understanding the cost of silence. He left a medal on the porch, my original one, the one they couldn't find after my discharge. I kept it, not because it meant honor, but because it reminded me what it took to survive the dishonor. And as I stood in my living room that night, lights off, quiet around me, my name whole again, I realized something. This wasn't revenge. It wasn't vindication. It was resurrection. From the grave they dug with their cowardice, I had built a monument of truth. and now they all had to live in its shadow.